Hey everybody, welcome back to Cooking 101. I'm Jen, I'm a dietitian, and you're in my very, very tiny kitchen. This is where I make the magic happen. Cooking 101 is a show that's supposed to help you with basic cooking, expanding your horizons a little bit in case you have either never cooked or you're new to it, or you're looking for some new ideas but you don't know where to start. That's what my show is all about. I am a dietitian. I am not a professional chef, but I am self-taught. I like to cook a lot. And part of my job as a dietitian is helping people figure out how to cook in ways they may not be used to cooking. So I kind of expanded that into this little cooking show. So today, we're talking about chicken. I'm sorry for the vegans out there. This is not a vegan show, so you can turn it off. I won't feel bad about it. We will come back with some more vegan or vegetarian stuff probably in the next week or two. But today I got a whole chicken in my CSA and I love cooking with this stuff now. There was a time when I would get whole chickens and I'd be like, great, chicken. I will like that for 2 days and then I don't want to eat it anymore. I love eating chicken. It's one of the few meats that I eat these days pretty consistently. And I also get really sick and tired of eating the same thing every single day. I'm sure most people do. And I'm someone who likes to eat leftovers, but when you're on leftovers day 5, you don't want them really anymore. So getting whole chickens in my CSA has really helped because I have learned to make new meals out of them instead of eating the same thing over and over and over. I've gotten a little more creative. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what I do with a whole chicken, and then we're going to what I call chicken day 2, which is the second meal I do. Because if I roasted a whole chicken on the show, you would get to see me sitting and waiting and watching for an hour. Whole chickens take a while to cook. But the taco part takes very little time. So let's start with roasting a whole chicken. Perfectly roasted chicken. So what I really like is a nice crispy skin with the moist meat underneath. I don't like anything else other than that, nothing fancy. I just like to get like a nice crisp skin that I can tear off and eat because I'm a little skin obsessed, I'm gonna admit. It's not the healthiest thing. Dietitians are human. I don't always eat healthy, but crispy chicken skin is one of those really nice treats. I also do this at Thanksgiving where my mom will cook the turkey and I will be stealing the skin off of it and she'll be like, no, we have to take a picture. And I'm just sitting there. So it's delicious. And when I say crispy skin, I don't mean fried. There is no frying in this house. You can actually get a really good crispy skin on a chicken without ever putting it anywhere near oil. In fact, my roast chicken recipe has no butter, no oil, no nothing. You don't even baste it. It's actually really easy, which is why I'm sharing it with you guys today. It's also Thomas Keller's recipe. If you guys don't know, Thomas Keller is a really big deal, big restaurateur, knows what he's doing, excellent food. I actually read a BuzzFeed article where they did all the hard work for me. They compiled chicken recipes and they had brackets and they made them compete and Keller's came out on top. So now I'm passing it on to you. So, perfect roast chicken. This is step 1. You get a whole chicken. What do you do with it? I recommend cooking it off the bat. Don't tear it apart. Don't cut it into pieces. Just roast the whole thing. Put it in the oven. Get it done. You can do that by, first you take the chicken out of the packaging, check the center cavity, and I tell you this because sometimes some companies like to put giblets in the center cavity, and you don't want to roast a chicken with a plastic bag in the middle of it, so just check it. For those of you who aren't used to handling large, raw pieces of meat, this might be a little overwhelming or uncomfortable for you. I get it. If you want to roast chicken, you just have to kind of suck it up. Animals were animals once. They're going to resemble animals once they are processed for eating. So if that's not your bag, totally cool, but I'm just giving you the heads up now. So you check the center cavity, make sure that it's not birthing a little plastic baggie of giblets. Remove the giblets if they're in there. There isn't always a plastic bag. There's just sometimes you can usually find the neck in there. So pull out that, pull out any of the giblets that might be in there. Save them. They're awesome. I've gotten a few whole chickens from my CSA. They all came with giblets except the last one, and I was really sad. But I got chicken hearts, chicken livers, and chicken necks. I'm going to get back to the necks in a second, but I use the chicken hearts and livers to make a really good paprikash. It was awesome. Recommend saving the organ meats. They are full of iron and vitamins, and they taste really good when you cook them right. Okay, so once you have an empty cavity whole chicken, the next thing you do is you dry it off. Please do not wash your chicken off. Do not do that. That is not a good idea. All you're doing by washing a chicken off is getting any bacteria that's on the chicken all over your sink. So don't do that. There's no reason to wash a chicken off. They're pretty clean. They're packed in like a little bit of blood that came out of the body as it's packaged, but that's it. You don't really need to clean anything. But you need to dry it. And the reason I say that is if a chicken is moist, when it goes into an oven, all that water or blood that's on the skin and inside the cavity is going to create steam, and that is going to cook your chicken too fast. And this method, you can't cook it too fast because it'll burn. So you want to dry the chicken thoroughly. Just take paper towels, pat all over, get your hand inside the chicken like you're trying to get something out or help it give birth. But really pat it down inside and out. It has to be dry. Once you do that, you season. Season with a little salt. For those of you who are avoiding too much salt, literally take a pinch, like you pinch of salt, and then just kind of pinch it all over. You don't need to use too much, but a little seasoning. However, required seasoning, if you are seasoning a chicken, get yourself this stuff. This is Bel Seasoning. Look for the turkey. I know everything is backwards. Sorry, guys. Bel Seasoning is the bomb, and my mom actually introduced that to me a long time ago, and I've used it ever since, and it has never stirred me wrong. It is a mixture of different things. There's sage, there's dried thyme, there's rosemary, and there's cumin in there. It's so good. So get yourself some Bel Seasoning, and it is like required for all poultry cooking. So you sprinkle your Bel Seasoning on liberally. There's no salt in that, by the way, so if you're avoiding salt, Bel Seasoning all over the place. It's awesome. Use as much of that as you want. It doesn't really go wrong in the cooking process. It doesn't get bitter or anything, so as much or as little as you want. And you can just rub it into the skin if you want. Sometimes I lift up a little of the skin and kind of rub the salt and seasoning underneath a little bit, but just make sure the chicken is well seasoned all over. Then you get yourself a roasting pan. Now, if you don't have a roasting pan, that's okay. I didn't have one for years, so I just put this in whatever, you want a pan that has at least like an inch or two of height on it so that the chicken doesn't splatter all over the place. But roasting pan helps you because it'll crisp everything up underneath it without it sitting in all that fat that's going to come off the chicken. So I recommend that. Now, I have the world's tiniest oven, and a roasting pan doesn't really fit. And I have had to finagle things in ways that I don't recommend. So if you can't use a roasting pan, or you are working with a tiny kitchen like I am, again, just a pan that has like kind of an edge, a side to it that's at least like 1 to 2 inches high or more will do as well. I've had to finagle a thing where I bought a smaller pan and then it still didn't fit, and then I found that there's like a ventilation hole at the back of the oven, and I'm like pushing the handle of the pan into that. Small kitchens are fun, guys. So you can make it work however you can make it work, just as long as you make it work safely. So you have your chicken, it's dry, you season it, you put it in the pan. Thomas Keller's recipe recommends trussing it. That is not mandatory. Again, I've done this recipe a ton of times without trussing the chicken. If you're not sure what trussing is, it's taking some cooking safe twine, something that's not going to set on fire or put chemicals in your food. You tie the feet together around the tail, and then you bring the twine around the front to kind of tuck the wings in and tie it at the front. You can find simple trussing instructions online. You can even look up this recipe on BuzzFeed. Just Google Thomas Keller chicken. It'll come up. It's a very popular page. I've done it a couple of times and shared it. So just go look for it if you want to truss it. Doesn't really do much except that it just tucks the chicken in compactly, keeps all the extremities in so that it cooks a little more evenly, but it's not going to hurt it if you can't. So that's how you prep your roasted chicken. The next thing you do is turn your oven up to 450 degrees. That's going to seem really high. It is very high. But surprisingly, does not burn the chicken, does not overcook it. It has to be 450. And what's really beautiful about this recipe is there's a lot of recipes out there where they're like, put the chicken in, turn the temperature up, turn the temperature down, flip the chicken over, baste the chicken, do the thing, brush the thing, do the thing. This, you turn it up to one temperature, you put the chicken in the oven, and you don't touch it for an hour, and then you're done. There's nothing complicated about it. That's one of the reasons I love it. The other is that it makes the crispiest, most perfect chicken skin ever that is ready to eat as soon as you pull it out. So it's simple and effective, which is the best thing. So you put your chicken in. Your oven is set at 450 degrees. It should have been preheated. You don't want the chicken sitting in there getting warmer and warmer gradually. That's going to mess up your cooking time. So preheat the oven, turn it up to 450, give it a few minutes to heat, and then you're good to go. Put your chicken in, set the clock for about 50 to 60 minutes, and leave it alone. Do not open that door. If you have a window, you can watch the chicken cook. I do not have a window because I have the world's tiniest stove. But don't open the door. That'll make the heat release, and then the oven won't be as warm, and it'll mess up your cooking time. So you literally just leave it. Walk away. Go do something. Watch a TV show. An hour later, you'll be done. When cooking chicken, you have to check the internal temperature before you take it out, because we cannot eat raw or rare or medium rare chicken because that chicken might make us sick. So an internal temperature for chicken is universally 165 degrees Fahrenheit. How do you find that out? Yeah, get yourself one of these. I love this. It's kind of like a switchblade. Boop. So this is a digital thermometer. You can also get a regular thermometer. I've had one of those for years. This was just more fun. You just stick this in. You have to make sure you're not touching a bone, because when the thermometer hits the bone, it's going to throw the temperature off. So you stick it in kind of like at a shallow angle and just check what the internal temperature is. If it's anywhere underneath 165 degrees Fahrenheit, put it back in the oven. My oven cooks at a very strange rate, and it's usually 10 to 20 to 30 minutes behind any cooking time I have seen for any recipe, whether it's a cake or baking meat or whatever. So always trust your thermometer over anything the recipe says. If you feel like it's been in there for a while, use the thermometer, check several different places on the chicken. I usually check the chicken breast, and then I check on the side and the thigh, because those two places cook a little bit differently at different rates. And if you see that the chicken breast is done but the thigh is not, you have two options. One is make a little tent out of tin foil and just place it over the chicken breast. That kind of helps protect it from drying out. The meat, that is. The skin should be crispy by then. That'll help it from overcooking while you're getting the thighs to catch up. Number two is you can take the chicken out of the oven, remove the chicken breasts, and then put the chicken back in to keep cooking. And actually there's a third option too, which I sometimes do because I am lazy. I'll take the chicken out and I'll be going through and serving, cutting up portions and serving, and I'll be like, gosh, this chicken breast looks perfect, it's juicy. And I'll cut into the leg and it's like bloody. And I'll be like, all right, nobody touched that area. And then I put it in a container, and when I do my second recipe, that's when the rest of the leg gets cooked. So those are your options. Just if you go with my option, be very careful you're not cross-contaminating the undercooked part of the chicken with the finished part, because you don't want any bad bacteria to get in there. I sometimes play a little loose with the food safety rules, even though it's something I studied and had to get certified for to be a dietitian. But I'm putting my own safety at risk, not anyone else's. And if you guys do this, I need to give you a warning that cooking and serving and cutting into any kind of undercooked chicken can be hazardous to your health. So just be careful, be safe, be smart about it. Cook your chicken appropriately before consuming, and don't get it on anything else if it's undercooked. So those are the rules. And that's how you cook a perfect chicken for round one. That's meal number one. So I'm usually feeding me and my husband. There's no one else in the family except a bunch of animals that wish they could eat what we're eating, but they are not allowed to. So this method that I do feeds 2 adults 2 solid meals. And then it'll also feed me, because I'm the salad eater, 2 additional salads after you make the chicken, the tacos. So this is a 3-meal, 1 ingredient type thing. And that way, if you ever cook a whole chicken for yourself, which I used to do before I was married, and you're like, oh my God, I cannot eat any more chicken, I hate this. This is really good to keep a ingredient going in a way that you're not sick of it down the line in the week. So your mileage may vary. You might eat bigger portions than I do or my husband does. But this should give you 2 solid meals for 2 adults and then some extra meals on top of that. It should. Chickens also vary in size, so who knows. Hi, Lisa. Enjoy your wedding dress appointment. I'm getting little messages from my friends. It's fun. Interactive. It's a good thing. Okay, so you roasted your chicken. Then what I do is I shove it into a Tupperware container. You might have to cut it apart a little bit. That's what I do. I literally take kitchen scissors and I cut the chicken in half to fit it into a Tupperware container. And then it's in your fridge. So now you have leftover chicken. If you don't want to eat leftover chicken, you don't have to. Let's make something different. And that's what we're going to do right now. What I do is I take out the chicken and I start picking off bite-sized pieces and I put them in a bowl. Hey, there it is. Just use your hands. Don't use a knife. Don't get fancy. You're tearing off pieces because you're making chicken tacos. You have to be able to bite into it. You're not going to be biting into a giant piece of chicken breast. So don't worry about it being pretty. Don't worry about cutting specific pieces off the chicken. If you don't know how to carve a chicken, that's okay. I don't really either. I never learned. So it doesn't matter. So get your bite-sized piece of chicken, put them in a bowl. There it is. That's awesome. Now I'm going to give you my little white girl warning here. Like I said, I'm not a trained chef. I am not going to sit here and pretend these are authentic chicken tacos that stem from the Mexican culture, because I don't know enough about Mexican culture to make those claims. What I can tell you is I have a grasping understanding of how to season things, and these taste good, and my husband loves them, and I love them, and they will have spices, and they're not plain. The recipe I'm using, I invented out of my head, and it's been informed by me traveling in Mexico and those flavors that they use. So I'm trying not to butcher it. I'm trying to do them as much honor as possible, but this is a super authentic recipe. It's kind of closer. This is not also going to be in those yellow pre-made taco shells with refried beans, which are not good for you, by the way. So it gets a little closer than the worst of the Americanized Mexican tacos. But I'm doing the best I can with my training, and this might not be to your taste. And my friends, I have Mexican-American friends out there who are probably like, Jen, what are you doing? This is not authentic. This is not what we do. And I respect that. I'm not making any claims to the contrary. But I can say this does taste good, and I promise you it'll come out good and tasty. All right. So that's just my little warning. But let's get started in cooking because it's still really good. This is actually my husband looks forward to this. Anytime I say, oh, we're getting a whole chicken, he's like, yes, tacos. That's his be all end all. All right. So you start with a pan, put it over medium heat, put some olive oil in it. Not too much, not too little. If you're a measurer, about a tablespoon. You don't need this soaked with oil. You already have chicken that cooked in its own chicken fat, so you don't need to go overboard. I used a mixture of some of the thigh meat that was left, so dark, and a lot of the breast meat, because that was easiest to get to, so light. So there's light and dark meat in there. Dark meat has more flavor. It also has more fat. Not enough that I would ever worry about fat content, but that is the difference. So I'm just spreading the oil around on the pan, making sure it's getting in every nook and cranny so that my meat does not stick to it. Now I have sliced up a whole onion. Here it is. And the onion is going to go in first. And I'm just going to saute the onion until it gets translucent, which is another word for see-through. Mostly see-through. Not transparent, because that's totally see-through. Translucent, which is mostly. So the onion is going in the pan. And again, medium heat. You don't want high heat, because high heat will overcook the onion and burn it, and you don't want that. This is also another one of those recipes where you don't walk away from the pan. There's very few things out there where you can walk away from what you're doing, because you got to watch it. If you don't watch it, it'll overcook right when you're not looking. That's the rule. It's the magic that happens in the kitchen. So you're going to saute some onions in a pan. That's your starting point. I learned from a chef that you kind of want to season as you go. You don't want to get everything in the pan at once and then season. Season lightly as you go. So I'm going to do like 2 turns of my ground salt. That was 4 turns. I totally lied to you guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to save the spices for when the chicken goes in. But salt does 2 things. 1, it seasons. And 2, it helps to draw the water out of vegetables through osmosis. We're getting scientific here. Alright, so a little salt on the onions. It helps with the cooking process. It might speed it up slightly. And I'm just moving everything around because I don't want anything to burn or overcook. And I'm probably moving this stuff around too much, but it gives me something to do while I'm on camera and makes me look like I'm being very productive and professional. So here I am moving my onions all around this. You can actually let it cook for a little bit. So they're already getting a little translucent. You also may notice nice aroma coming off the onions. That's what you want. When things start to smell good, that means that you're reaching the cooking point you want to reach. Next thing you do is dump your chicken in. Now the chicken's already cooked. We're not doing this to cook the chicken. Now, going back to what I said earlier, if your chicken is slightly undercooked, like I sometimes let it happen, then you're going to need to make it go for a little while. But if your chicken's already pretty much cooked, you don't have to worry much about time here. You're not cooking this for a while. You're literally just putting it in the pan to reheat, which is kind of one of the great things about using leftovers. Is now it's not about making sure it's cooked. It's more about making sure that everything is just appropriately heated to your liking. Now I'm coming into a problem here where my chicken is sticking to the pan, and I'm going to show you the secret to that. Grab yourself a little water. Not too much. Not very much at all. And pour a little of that water where your meat is sticking. The water is going to boil off pretty fast. It's not going to affect the flavor. It actually might enhance the flavor because you're using this water to get all those brown bits off the bottom of the pan. I've talked about this before. This is a technique called deglazing. You're deglazing the pan. So my chicken is being extra stubborn and sticky today. You can also do this with broth, by the way. I just happen to be between broths. I used all the rest of it up to make a recipe the other day. A soup, actually. I'm going to make some more, which is going to be the secret 4th recipe you can make with a whole chicken. So we're going to get to that. Alright, so I've used a little water because the pan got sticky and the meat was sticking to it, and that's no good. No bueno. You don't want to leave half your meat in the pan. Stuck to it forever. Deglazing is actually a really good way to help with the cleanup as well. If your pan has a lot of brown bits stuck to it and you're like, oh god, I'm going to be scrubbing that forever, you can actually do this in the cooking process and it should remove pretty much everything. Like the bottom of my pan right now is spotless. You would never guess stuff is stuck there. Alright, so my chicken's reheated. We need to flavor this stuff. So I'm taking ground up cumin. I'm using up all the rest of it. That's okay, because I bought more. You should always have cumin. Cumin is awesome, unless you're allergic to it. I have a friend who's allergic to it, and I feel very sad for her. I think she feels sad for her, too, because it sucks going through life not being able to eat cumin. All right, more cumin. Now, I am not a measurer. I do this by taste and by eyesight. So, start with a little, sample it, see how you like that. If you noticed, I did not add any more salt. The reason for that is I added salt when I cooked the chicken originally, and I added salt to the onions. And for me, that is enough salt. I don't eat a lot of salt. I've just become used to that. That's how I like it. And you don't need a lot of salt in your cooking if you season it correctly. And if you have high blood pressure, it's better to go less salt. If you don't have high blood pressure, it's also better to go less salt. So get yourself used to using other spices besides salt. So I added my ground cumin. I added a lot today because I was just tapping it in. Everything smells like cumin right now. I love it. It's awesome. I'm also going to use Ancho chili powder. I always add chili powder to things like tacos. And I'm going to be using the rest of my chili powder today. And I can't find it, so I'm going to have to go on a mission to find more Ancho chili powder. It is awesome. If you can find it, find it. If you can't find it, my cat is making noises. If you can't find Ancho chili powder, regular chili powder is fine. Check your chili powder though. Make sure it's not a mixture. I went to go buy more, and the only chili powder they had was something that was a mixture of cumin and some other stuff, and I don't need that. I add my own cumin. Alright, things are sticking to the bottom again, so I'm going to deglaze again. It always makes that satisfying bubble sizzle sound. I love it. So this water does not water down the flavor. It actually helps create a little bit of a sauce, in fact. Kind of gets everything well distributed. And again, scraping the bottom of the pan for anything brown, because that stuff's tasty. It's tasty caramelized goodness. Alright. So, everything is seasoned, everything is warmed up, the onions are nice and soft. That's it. That's our taco filling. Now, I'm not going to stop there, because I like to put things on my tacos that taste good. But that's the base that you're using. I've played around with this a little bit. I've added paprika sometimes. I've added tomato paste to make it more of a red sauce. I have also added a little bit of lime juice, which I'm going to do right now. That helps flavor it. As I have said before, acids, like citrus, are really good for flavor enhancements. So a little bit of lime. Juice it over the chicken. Get a little lime juice in there. That will help with the flavor. As much or as little as you want. That's kind of my rule for this. Whatever you like. If you like a really strong lime flavor, put even more in. So I'm just going to distribute that again. This is now off the heat, by the way. If you're using citrus, usually that should be like the last thing that goes in, because if you overcook with citrus, it can sometimes get bitter. Alright, so we put a little bit of lime juice here. Excuse me, my cat is overeating right now. Monkey, go on. I have one cat that's very picky, and I have one cat that will eat everything. And the cat that eats everything is eating the other cat's food, so I had to intervene there. Okay, so we've made our tacos. Well, we made the taco filling. We need to make the actual tacos now. So, invest in corn tortillas. Please do this. Do not get flour tortillas. I'm just begging you. For a flavor standpoint, corn tortillas surpass flour tortillas in every way. They're smaller. They're not something you'll be making a quesadilla out of or a burrito, but they are delicious. They're definitely more authentic, and they're awesome. So corn tortillas, you can usually find them on a shelf, but they need to be refrigerated soon after opening. They are fresh. They need to remain fresh, or they will dry out and get terrible. If you are not eating tacos on a regular basis, apparently we are, you can put them in the freezer and you can thaw them out later. So they're pretty easy to store. But get yourself some corn tortillas. Now, when you have a package, don't eat them out of the package. They are not ready for you to do so. They need to be heated up and cooked. They're basically in their raw state right now. And what I do is I preheated my oven to 350 and I just throw them on the shelf and cook them up, and it takes like a minute or two. It does not take long. But the flavor kind of mellows a little bit, and they are soft and they're pliable and they're perfect. So that's the shell we're going to use. Before I do that, because when you get the tortillas done, that should be the last step, I'm going to make a sauce. I'm going to make a avocado crema. This probably isn't very authentic. I had something similar when I was in Mexico, but I really don't think that Mexicans use a lot of sour cream. Maybe they do, I'm wrong, but their dairy doesn't seem to be very extreme in the cuisine when it's authentic. We're the only country that's really dairy obsessed besides parts of Europe. So, but I really like it. I think it tastes good. It's going to really enhance everything here. So I'm going to show you how to make that. Start with an avocado, which I have here. So when you're picking out an avocado, you need to make sure it's ripe. What does that mean? It's a little squishy when you squeeze it. You got to squeeze an avocado. You can also pull the stem off if you can access it. There. That's where the stem was. If you pull it out and it's brown inside, your avocado is ripe. If you pull it off and it is green inside, your avocado is not ripe. But you should know that before then, because if you touch it and it is rock solid, then your avocado is not ripe. And it won't peel, and it is a pain in the neck. And my cat is singing the song of her people. It's always great to have animal interactions when you're cooking. I think it spices everything up. Okay. So this is a slightly ripe avocado, but there's definitely parts that could be more ripe because the peel is not coming off perfectly. Now, if you don't know how to take a pit out of an avocado, this is the easiest way to do it. You take your knife, you embed it in the pit, be careful, and then you just turn it. It should come right out. Easy, easy avocado. Now, this crema is going to come in handy later, so I'm going to use the whole avocado to make it because it's delicious, and I can put it on other things, which I will get to in a sec. At first, we peel. We peel, we peel, we peel. Come on. It's being a little stubborn, so this probably could have used like a half day to a full day more to ripen. I got it almost on the nose. Getting a ripe avocado is not an exact science. Or maybe it is. Maybe that's botany. I don't know. Alright. There we go. Most of it is off. It's one piece. There we go. Alright. You got your avocado. I've made a mess. Next thing. Get yourself some cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, skip this part. If you do like cilantro, use as much as you want. I'm using a lot because I love it. Stick that cilantro in there. Also wash it off. I washed it off before. I swear. There. You got your cilantro. Now, get yourself some sour cream. Doesn't have to be a lot of sour cream. I am using reduced fat sour cream. Why am I doing that? There's a lot of fat in dairy products, especially concentrated, cheese-like stuff that uses a lot of cream, because cream is the fattiest part of milk. I'm using reduced fat. There is also fat-free. Why am I doing that? I've talked about this with yogurt before. But when you take all of the fat out of something, it doesn't taste very good. And so companies compensate for that by dumping a bunch of salt in it. Flavor. So reduced fat is kind of the happy medium. They take some of the fat out, but they don't dump all of the salt in. So calorie and salt balance is what I'm going for. That's why I usually used a reduced fat or a 2% instead of a fat-free in anything. You don't need a lot. I'm going to use one really generous spoonful. most of the creamy part is going to come from the avocado. This gives it a little tang. I'm going to put a little in there. There we go. I am using a whole avocado. And a little texture, but the bulk of the tang and the texture is going to come from the other ingredients. Next thing I'm doing, lime juice. Flavor. Delicious. Squeeze that in there. Again, you can use 1 lime, you can use 2 limes. It's all up to you how you like your things flavored. I am using 3/4 of a lime because I put the other 1/4 in the chicken mixture. All right. So that lime juice is in there. So this next part is going to require a stick blender. I have to go get mine. Give me a sec. If you don't have a stick blender, you can do this in an actual blender or a food processor. Or you can chop up the cilantro really fine and mash up the avocado like it's guacamole and mix everything by hand. So this is not dependent on having the equipment, but if you don't have a stick blender, they're awesome. I love them. Come on, bud. This one doesn't want to go together right now, but I love them anyway. There we go. Stick blenders are awesome. They make life easier. I love mine to death. I use it for a lot of stuff. And it helps cut down on mess because I don't have to bring out my food processor or blender every time I'm making something. I'm just going to get the wire out of the way. So to blend everything, I'm going to put this in a very tall container because it will splash. This stick blender also happens to come with a little container with a blade inside. I just like doing it this way because I have a little more control over how everything blends. Whereas in the container, stuff can get up on the side and I have to open it and put stuff in. It's a mess. So this is the easiest for me. I'm putting a hand over the top of it, A, to hold the container. This is a very tall Pyrex cup, by the way. And B, to keep things from not splashing out. So I'm going to just blend it down. Forgive me, it's going to be loud. Not too loud, though. So we're not really making much of a mess, which is nice. Very tall containers are very good for stick blenders. So I'm just blending it down to the bottom and then picking it back up and doing it again. I'm making sure to get any stragglers, bits that might be coming over the top. You can stir it a little bit, make sure everything's and then you're done. And then I detach this first to cut down on the mess. Okay. This is the avocado crema. There it is. Okay. This is a mess. I'm going to clean it up later. So that's how I flavor mine. I also like to put veggies. Radishes are awesome. Put them in your tacos. If you like radishes, slice them up into pieces, put them in. That's what's going to go into mine as well. Sometimes when I have greens, like I have a bunch of lettuce in there right now, that's going to go in so that you get a nice like fiber, vitamin boost as well. If you don't like veggies, my husband doesn't either, so you don't have to put any of those in. Those are all options. I've used these as a kitchen sink meal a lot, so sometimes I have made sauteed chicken breast because we had that one week, and I sauteed it with a bunch of greens. And the greens and the chicken got recycled the same way. I seasoned them in a pan, and then I put everything in a tortilla and put my avocado crema on top, a little salsa, and it was good to go. I even have that green tomatillo salsa I made many shows ago. It's still good. That's pretty impressive, I think. But I use that as well as a flavoring agent, or you can use hot sauce, Tabasco sauce, whatever you like on your tacos. And I finish it off. I have a little bit of cotija cheese, which you can get in a lot of grocery stores these days. I stay away from Mexican blends of cheese because cheddar cheese has no right to be on a taco, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. It's not your opinion. If your opinion is different, that's cool too. Don't go heavy on the cheese. Cheese is full of calories and it's not great for you, but it's tasty, so I get wanting to put it on there. But that's all you do. If you guys want to see me assemble a taco, I'm going to heat up some corn tortillas and you're going to see what I do. So my oven's preheated to 350. I'm going to put these, I'm just literally tossing them on the shelves. Nothing underneath them. Don't need to worry about it. So I've got 4. I'm going to reach up here and grab a plate, and I got to move it. Here we go. Woo! Exciting spur of the moment shaky camera action. So my tortillas are heating up. Finishing the cooking process for that. I'm going to chop up some radish. If you're putting radish in, just literally slice it. Nothing fancy there. I washed my radish off earlier. Do slices of radish. Oh, you know what? I didn't get to meal number 3. And I totally promised you 3 meals, 1 ingredient. Okay. Let's finish up with that. Meal number 3. So I didn't use all the chicken when I made these tacos. I picked off a good amount that I think will be good to split between my husband and I. There's still chicken left. There's a lot of chicken on a whole chicken. What I do after that, same process. I pick the chicken clean again, and then I make salads out of it. And I usually have a lot of this stuff left over because a little goes a long way. So what I do is I mix the crema in as salad dressing because it is a bomb salad dressing. It's basically tastes like green goddess with cilantro in it. So this can become a totally new thing reused as salad dressing. You just keep picking that chicken clean. I like to mix my salads with fruit, so I usually put some apple in there because I have a million apples. And whatever's lying around the house, seeds or nuts sometimes, or whatever vegetable I got in the CSA. Get creative. Make yourself a salad. That is meal number 3, so you're not eating tacos for the rest of the week. If you want to eat tacos for the rest of the week, then more power to you. You just keep doing this. Same process. Pick the chicken clean. So that's meal number 3, is you can make a salad, you can reuse the crema, everything gets eaten, and you don't feel like you're eating leftovers day after day. Secret meal number 4. So if you really want to make this chicken stretch as far as possible, which I recommend because you just feel really good about using every part of it, you can make chicken broth. What do? So save the bones. What I do is I literally put them in the freezer. This is my little chicken graveyard bag. There are 2 whole chickens in here. And like I said, I'd get back to the chicken necks. There are also 2 chicken necks in there. The chicken that I picked for this will also go into the pot, and I will make chicken broth. All you have to do is throw the bones into the pot, fill it with water to cover, throw things in that you want to flavor it. Herbs, onion. Just literally cut an onion in half. Don't take the paper off. Throw the whole thing in. I've talked about this before, but the skins of things flavor broth really well. Onion skin is really good for that. So you literally throw a whole onion in there, just cut in half. Smash some garlic cloves with the back of a knife, and throw the whole thing in there with paper as well. I like to put carrot and I like to put celery in. Those are aromatic vegetables. They make really good broth as well. They're great for soups. Use them, and they're cheap. So throw literally everything in, cover it with enough water, boil it, and then let it simmer for like an hour to 3 or 4 hours. Up to you. The longer you simmer it, the stronger the flavor. You might have to add a little extra water if it boils down too low. But then you have homemade chicken broth, which is awesome. And you can throw most of it in the freezer for when you're ready to use it. I usually have a full container sitting in the freezer for emergencies when I need really good homemade chicken broth, which is usually when I'm sick and I'm like, give me the most healing thing you can find, which is that stuff. Because all the vitamins in all of the veggies you use will really permeate that broth, and it's just literally the best cold killer ever. So that's it. That's 3 meals, 1 chicken, plus a bonus meal. I hope you guys got something out of this. I hope this was helpful. I hope if you are sick and tired of leftovers, this kind of makes your life better. You can also do this with literally any other thing you have as a leftover. You can do it with leftover veggies if you haven't like made an elaborate sauce. You can do it with leftover meats of any kind. Doesn't have to be chicken. You can add chili powder and cumin to anything, cook it for a few minutes, put it in a corn tortilla. That's a taco. It's really your choice what you want to make out of it. I find this a very versatile way of cooking. It's very forgiving. It doesn't really require you to do a lot, and it doesn't require you to know how to expertly assemble things. So it's really been a lifesaver for me because it's simplified a lot of what do I do, what is this meal going to be, how do I make this leftover more appealing. It's changed my life. My husband hates leftovers, and I'm getting him to eat chicken on the second day. This is a triumph. So I hope this helps you guys too as much as it helps me. And I hope you like it. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And if not, if you have a suggestion for something you would like to see me do, please let me know. I'm always open for suggestions. And if you like what you saw today and you would like to donate, I do take donations through Venmo. My Venmo is at JSRockRD. JS as in Sam, my last name, Rock, and then RD is for registered dietitian. The donations just go to helping me afford groceries for this. They help with my livelihood because this is my business. I'm a dietitian. But I want to keep this program free because I know that a lot of people are on hard times right now and they could use a break. So if you can't afford it, don't worry. This is free. This is for you. If you can, I would love it if you donated. If you don't, I still love you. Thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you next week. Oh, one more announcement. This is important. I'm running a group, and I'm letting everybody know all the time that I am running a group. It starts on July 6th, which is a Monday, the first Monday in July. It's going to be about stress eating. Because I stress eat all the time, and so do a lot of people, and it is a very stressful time right now. And it's a topic near and dear to my heart that I can speak from experience on. The group is a 4-week course. It's 1 hour each week that you just have to dedicate to. It costs $150 for the whole thing. If you would like to sign up, you can go to my website, jrockrd.com. And there's a little events tab where you can just go to jrockrd.com/events and sign up there. It'll give you all the instructions and information about it. But basically, if you find yourself stress eating and snacking all the time and you would like to stop, I will help you with that. We'll go over why we do this and how to address how to stop it. And it'll be a good time. So I hope to see you guys there. Please come to my group. And if I don't see you there, I'll see you next week. Take care, guys.